Well, hello once again. Welcome to the Pantheon project. While we sit here and talk about another race, the Dwarfs. With me again is Memo, Nightangel, Steelheart,
Hey.
and I'm Dashivah. And we're here talking about the next race reveal, the Dwarfs, industrious warriors. So tell us a little bit about these dwarves.
I like dwarves.
I like dwarves too.
You can't have a fantasy game without dwarves. You have to have dwarves. That and elves.
Yep.
Gotta have them.
I can agree on that. You gotta have dwarfs and elves. I mean,
Dwarves, elves, and humans. Yeah.
of course, you have to have the humans.
Basics, origin world, Strontia, current homeland, Strontian mountains, Pantheon. Man, isn't that a cool looking Pantheon? The holy strata, language, Stront, and classes obviously to be announced. Probably fighter class, more than likely some type of cleric also. Dwarves.
Dwarves.
Stock and brawny dwarf physique.
Yes.
Just goes with the warrior.
So I think their little
crusader.
symbol kind of describes them the best.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
They craft. They have a moon.
They have a moon.
They have a war hammer.
Yeah.
And a mountain.
A
And a
war-
mountain.
yeah,
They
a
are
mountain.
underground.
They have something to mine. And to
You know,
craft.
I like when they branch out a little bit from the typical dwarf stuff. They have, they announce who their enemies are, their lifelong enemies, and apparently the trolls who are their enemies came with them when they came to Terminus. So that's a nice little twist on.
It's like
Dwarfs.
a bad neighbor. You just can't get rid of them.
It's like,
Yeah,
no way.
them trolls moved in down the street. What are we gonna do?
Smite them.
Hit them in the face with a hammer.
Yep.
Okay, so a
Holy
little
pellet.
bit about these dwarves. Their little paragraph that they wrote about them. It says the dwarves of Terminus are stout and industrious miners whose societies have thrived in subterranean kingdoms for centuries. The underfolk, or as elves call them, live most of their lives within a great halls of caverns. Wait a minute. Why does it? Who cares about what the elves call them?
Well, the elves
It-
obviously
It
do.
didn't say that to other
Yeah,
races.
it matters what the elves call everything. I mean, it's a reference point.
Well,
It
you'll
didn't
know
say,
later
like,
on.
Humans.
Who knows what the
elves
humans call them? Who cares?
Long after the dwarves are gone, the same elves that named them the first time will still be calling them
It's
that.
like this is what they call them. Anyways, they lives within their great halls and caverns of their vast underground societies. The stocky and brawny dwarf physique makes them excellent miners, and their affinity for minerals has led them to become masters of metalworking, which in turn allows them to achieve some of the most astounding feats of engineering. Need a hole through a mountain? Rally the dwarves! Because of
That's
because of
gonna
the many
come in
dangers.
handy.
Yeah. Because of the many dangers in subterranean realms, dwarven societies have become compartmentalized, with various clans being charged with specific tasks, all contributing to the overall prosperity. The dwarves are also revered for their mastery of warfare. They are excellent warriors, with each and every citizen being trained in combat on some level. Bolstered by rare materials and superior arms, dwarven armies are arguably the most powerful to march upon the battlefields of Terminus. For those dwarves who choose to live beyond the borders of the Strontian mountains, they are quick to find their skills extremely welcome in nearly every society. I want to be a dwarf.
Now you said you play dwarves. As a general rule,
I play
does
dwarves.
does this excite you? It's kind of the fallback dwarf. It's just what everybody's familiar with: miners, good with minerals, metalworking, probably weaponsmithing, armor smithing, beards.
Beards.
Gotta
Well,
have
those
beard.
females have
Beards.
beards, so that's an important question to put forth.
It is.
It's already
It
been
is.
asked.
is.
I didn't see it answered, but what type of respectable female dwarf would not have a beard?
Exactly.
Very good. And a stein.
I'm sorry. It messes with my physique. And they're itchy. I just don't like them. Skip the beard.
Maybe you can just have stubble.
Or a mustache.
Have that little mustache
Oh.
that people look. Is that a mustache on that woman? Yes. Yes,
Yes,
it
it
is.
is. It's a mighty fine mustache. Um, you can read into this, and obviously at some point there's going to be crafting in the game, whether that part of the Kickstarter is met or not. So I would go on the assumption that based on EverQuest and Vanguard, the dwarves will probably have some sort of racial bonus to crafting. So if need armor built, take it to a dwarf. Need a weapon crafted, get a dwarf to do it. It's
Once we see crafting come into the game.
yeah, that's probably going to be a little bit, but it if they go by their racial traits and racial bonuses, if you want to craft something using metal, then more than likely this is the race you're going to want to play.
Yeah, at this point, we just want to see the game get made. Anything that can be put in
Later,
like one of the stretch goals, like crafting. I just want to see the game get made.
Yeah. But I like how they mentioned that the Dwarven society everyone is an excellent warrior. Or maybe not an excellent warrior, but they've been trained in warfare at some point in their lives. So they are the most, I guess you could say, resilient race if you're going to attack them or have them go to war.
I don't know about you. I wouldn't want to try to storm a mountain full of dwarves.
I know.
No.
Unless you're a dragon
Unless
named
you're a
Smaug.
dragon. That's a good
unless you're a
point.
dragon named Smog.
So,
And even I don't find that too realistic, and I'm a Tolkien fan.
Hmm.
One dragon wipe out an entire mountain of dwarves.
oh,
Don't see it.
you've never faced a dragon. Like
This is
Smaug.
true. At
Okay.
least
Well-
not as a dwarf.
So as far as like their history, so they were on Strontia, and it makes sense that there would be an underground populace given that the Strontia has a harsh, stormy environment. So it keeps most of their population below ground. So it makes sense with the dwarves.
Oh, absolutely. Who wants to be a walking lightning rod wearing armor?
Right. But when they arrived, it looks like on Terminus there was ongoing quakes that began to rip their kingdoms apart, and so their deities, the gods of the Holy Strata, appeared to them. And although they were waning strength, they offered their last of their arcane powers to stabilize and save the underworld. So it was kind of interesting. I thought that was a nice play for their god.
That is. It also mentions some of the nice alliances they've forged with the elves and the humans. So now we have, some nice races that have found common ground, which dwarves and elves historically have not been buddy-buddy, but apparently in Pantheon they are going to be having a close association.
Everybody needs a footstool.
Well, since my husband likes to play
Place to set your
dwarves
beer.
typically, and I play elves typically, so that kind of works for us.
Very nice. We had some of that in the last Hobbit movie. Some dwarf on
Dwarf on elf.
All right, watch it there, Dash.
romance.
The Yeti is huge.
He's talking about my new mic. I didn't realize how big this mic was going to be. And
It's a
called the
good
Yeti.
mic.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
But another thing, the gods obviously imbued their dwarven kingdom with their essence, so to speak, and that explains. Kind of falls back on when you've seen the movies or read in the books. A dwarf pats the stone and says "good stone" or something. And they have a reverence for stone and stonecraft and things made out of stone. Well, now it's more so. I mean, they literally a reverence for the stone they live in.
Very nice.
Very true.
So I figured the dwarf and the elf alliance all relies upon that the dwarves have the best weapons, they have the best materials, and so who doesn't want to have a friend like that?
Definitely. But then
Plus,
you
they
also
have a good mountain they can hide in.
Yeah. But I think the bigger drive for them to become allies was the ogre threat, since they were on constant attack of raiders. And so the elves were like, dude, look, these guys are coming for you. How about we hook up?
I thought the dwarf and the elf was Wasn't that formed during the Troll War, which I'd really like to hear more about because any war involving trolls sounds fascinating.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely. And obviously the dwarven homeland's right next to the ogre homeland from what it looks like.
Hmm.
It's because it says they built the building of Northwatch, a series of guard towers overlooking Icehammer Steps, which we already know that's where the ogres are.
Hmm.
So they
Muscle bird
There you go.
blubbery.
They have the wall.
are the wall.
The wall. All right. So, any other thoughts on dwarves? Maybe what classes you think they could be?
Cleric for sure. You can't have a cleric
I think
class
rogue.
without dwarfs.
Paladin.
Rogue.
Dwarf
paladin.
rogues.
Yeah.
Paladin.
Dwarf.
Paladin for
Paladin.
sure.
Maybe they probably breathe too
Yeah,
heavy.
warrior.
Warrior.
I don't know about
Maybe
about
Batman.
Dark Knight,
I don't know about Batman.
but
Definitely a paladin. Definitely a paladin.
As long as they have
definitely.
cleric, because I just want to be a
Well,
dwarf cleric, and then
what
I'll be
was
happy.
it? The two shielded. That was the what was the two shielded
The
one? The
Crusader?
Guardian, the Crusader. Yeah,
Crusader.
Mhm.
definitely a dwarf is
Yes.
Crusader.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay, so that's just a little bit of our thoughts and pretty much all we know at the moment about the dwarf race. And so we'll be back talking about the next class that we have discovered, the rogue. And we'll be back in a few minutes for that. Make sure to check out all our videos again, and make sure to support their Kickstarter for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen.
Woohoo.